Hello and welcome. Today we are going to be talking about how to beat the computers. And also we're kind of going to be talking about, on the side, how you beat an opponent that is of similar strength to you. So let's get into it. So, I'm playing against 1800. Here we go. I'm an intermediate player, so I'm not going to be... This is an advanced computer, that's what the chess.com website says, so... But I'm not going to be playing Hikaru Nakamura computer anytime soon and beating it, because I'm an intermediate player. So, here we go. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight to c6, Ruy Lopez, knight to f6. If you don't already know, the whole reason why you play knight to f6 is it develops a piece, and if you go for this winning this pawn idea, it doesn't actually work because both of the knights are attacking each other's pawns, so that's kind of the idea there. D3, now this idea would work, winning this pawn. So of course the computer doesn't let me do that and plays bishop to c5. If you don't already know, this idea doesn't work because after this, and I take this pawn, then queen to d5 threatens both the knight and checkmate. And you lose, essentially. So that's kind of how that works. Or it's either you lose or you lose a pawn. I think it's one of those. I don't know. You can take a look at that for yourself. Anyways, castles. So now, once again, this idea works now, because queen d5 no longer does anything, because now I've castled. So then he plays d6. Now, this pawn chain has been created, and now there's no more winning this pawn anymore. So the computer has successfully not lost a pawn. Knight to c3, just getting another piece into the game. Castles, pin here, also just developing another piece. H6, bishop h4, still trying to maintain this pin. Taking isn't really a good option because you're giving up a bishop for a knight, which most intermediate and advanced players know that is not really the best idea unless you're getting something out of it. If you take, you're just developing their queen and you're giving up a bishop for a knight, so it's just no good. So then here the computer plays g5, and this is a very risky move. A lot of grandmasters play it, but against like beginners or intermediate players such as myself, this is usually not a good idea. And since this computer it's deemed as advanced, but I think it's more intermediate computer, this move is a risk, and you shouldn't play it. This is a huge risk. So here I just went back because that's kind of the only move. Then he played queen d7, and here and since he's expanded on the king side, it's general chess principles that whenever someone expands on the king side or the queen side, whenever there's like a king side or queen side attack, you need to attack back in the center. That is a chess principle. So I played rook to e1, supporting this pawn, and I'm readying this d4 pawn push, just trying to break up the center. And this diagonal right here is really weak, so I'm going to see if I can exploit that. So here he played a6, threatening this bishop here. And here I took, and you might be asking, okay, well, you didn't take this knight earlier, why are you taking this one now? Well, here in this position, taking makes a whole lot more sense than going here or going here, because going to either of these two squares, allows b5, which allows black to expand on the queen side, and you're just allowing black way too much by doing that, and so it's just better to eliminate the strong knight. And plus, my whole idea was to push d4, and so eliminating this knight brings me one step closer to executing this. And sure enough, now I can actually play this. So I played d4, and then we had a trade, and here I'm threatening this. So that's a very nice threat. I think in this position, I myself might have played something like bishop to d7 or something. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe queen to d7 or something along those lines. But here the computer had decided to give up the bishop for the knight, and also allowing my queen to develop, which is definitely, I feel like, a positional mistake. Again, I'm not 100% sure, because I'm an intermediate player, but it just seems a little bit fishy to me. You can check that with the engine. Anyways, whoa, that just jumped really, really far. So where were we? Rook to b8. So we played rook to b8, threatening this. One thing you need to make sure to do is to never underestimate a move. I have lost many games underestimating moves. If you don't know what I mean, what will often happen to me is, like, I'll see this move and I'll be like, okay, but I've got a plan here, so I'm going to push this. Well, just blundered a pawn. Now you're going to lose the game. It happens. So here, I just went here. I think b3 might have been a sturdier option, but just because it's gonna help with some expansion. I mean, I just went for this because it doesn't completely crumble the position, so that's kind of why I did that. Okay, so here played c5, and here I got the idea of playing knight to d5. So if he takes, then I take with check, and he ruins his pawn structure, because then he has double pawns. If he takes here, then I take, and my queen's position has improved. That was kind of my idea. So the computer went for taking this, and so yeah, and then this comes with check, king to g7, and now, as you can see, the key part in beating a player that has a similar strength to you is creating a weakness. Here's the weakness, and this could also be seen as a weakness because I just checked the king here. So here, there are a lot of different ideas here. There's this, there's maybe just expansion, there's this, attacking this, but I went for e5 here, and I've been trying to figure this out, because here it says one mistake, and so I wonder if this is my one mistake. I'm beginning to wonder, because, like, no, I don't think this is a mistake, because if rook here, then I come back, and then everything is fine, and you can't win a pawn here, because this pawn's being defended twice and attacked twice, so I don't know. I think the mistake happens earlier, but anyways, my whole idea was if he takes, then I take, and I have this nice pin here. That was my idea here. So then he played bishop e6, and also my other idea was to attack this extremely weak pawn. That was my other idea. So he played bishop b6, I played b3, because he's attacking this a2 pawn. So I just numbed this bishop by kind of playing b3 here. Here he played rook b to e8, I played knight to c6. Now I'm definitely going to win this pawn here. Bishop to d5, and I just nabbed the pawn, because he was attacking my knight, and I can move the knight while nabbing the pawn. And this right here is essentially how you beat a player of similar strength, is to create a weakness, which was double pawns, and then win the game, essentially. And now I'm up a pawn, and I have an advantage now. So let's see how this panned out. So we played c5, I just went knight to f3. I'm not really hugely concerned about the doubled pawns that would be created if he captured, because capturing only favors me because I'm up a pawn. And after king to g2, I mean, the pawns are sufficiently defended, and also if he captures, then the knight's squares are severely limited. Like, the knight can no longer come to these two squares in particular. I mean, it was pinned, so it couldn't in the first place, but in the future, now the knight can't do that. The knight is now limited, so that's always good. So that's why I played that. Here he's improving the position of his king. It's definitely the right idea. I played c4. I think this was my one mistake, because it just allows him it just allows his bishop to penetrate. I think a better idea would have been maybe even trading here was a better idea, honestly. Yeah, maybe maybe king to f1, just preparing this trade, just anything else would have been better than c4. Yeah, c4 is a weak move by me. Yeah. That's why you have to calculate and make sure that your idea is actually good. Yeah, c4 was not a good idea. I mean, it doesn't lose me the game, but it was a mistake indeed. So yeah, he ruins my pawn structure. He plays rook e6. He's obviously preparing to double rooks. You need to make sure that you're assessing your opponent's threats constantly. So obviously his threat is to double rooks and apply huge amounts of pressure on this bishop, which I won't be able to move, because if after this I try to move the bishop, then he wins a rook. So, I see that, and so I just go for the trade. Because trades here only favor me, because I'm up a pawn. So, he trades, and I just do some more trading. And then I played rook to d6, which activates the rook, hits this pawn, and it also prepares to hit on this weak pawn. These pawns are extremely weak here, so I'm planning to win those. Plays king d5. That's really his only option. Now I win this, but he also gets to nab this pawn as well. So he nabs that pawn. I played king to g2, attacking. He goes back. And here now I'm preparing to win this pawn, which the only way to defend this pawn is by playing this, and then I just get this pawn. So here he just went for a check, and now he attacks this. And what I could have done is I could have, tried to defend this pawn, but I just decided, hey, I'm up a pawn, so let's do some more trading. So I captured with check, king to d6, let's see here. And then I went rook back to a5, preparing rook a6 check to try to harass the king some more. And so they went there, and then I harassed the king a little bit with rook a6, king e5, and then here I have 3 connected passed pawns. I mean, he has 3 versus 1 on the queen side, but my king is here to help assist this passed pawn, because this is a passed pawn that I should be a bit concerned about. But fortunately, my king is on this side of the board, which means the king can help in the stoppage of this pawn. Meanwhile, these pawns are mostly unopposed here. I mean, the king could come back, but then that would allow my king to try to enter the game somewhat. So, yeah, white's position is much better. So he played rook h3, and I just played b4, because I was like, you know what, my position's so good, I can just play that, and my position is still just fine here. Played rook h4, I played rook c6, my position's so good, I can actually do that. Played rook to f4, and then I just pushed the pawns. b5, preparing a5, a6, yeah. And then he tries to push his pawn, but his pawn is just too slow. So here, this is the computer's pathetic attempt to try to stop my passed pawns, but it just doesn't work. And here, the rest of the game is just me winning this. Yeah, a7, and yeah. Oh wait, so there we go. And here, you need to play this, not this, right? You play here, because you need to play actively. Okay, and then, yeah, just simply a8 queen, and the rest of it is a position that anybody could win. Queen to h8 here is the quickest idea, because it either wins this pawn, or you try playing this, and then you get rook takes e6, king f5, queen f6 check, king to g4, f3 check, king to h3, queen takes, and now pretty much he's screwed here. And here, since I'm up so much material, one thing you need to make sure, before you consider a move at all, you need to check and make sure it doesn't stalemate. Right now the king is completely cut off from this file, and the king's only square, the only move that the black king can make right now is king to h2. That's the only move that he has. So you need to make real good certain that you don't stalemate here, because that would be really unfortunate. So here I played rook to h6, And I checked, and I made sure this does not stalemate, because he has king to h2. And sure enough, he played king to h2, because that's his only move. And the whole point behind this idea was that it's literally just mate in 2. And that's checkmate. Just a little basic ladder mate. Boom. And that's kind of how you beat the computers, is to take advantage of the positional mistakes that they make. For example, this g5 move is kind of a positional mistake, if you will. I mean, yeah, because it's just opening up the king just way too much. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Remember to create weaknesses, and I'll see you next time.